Greetings all. Welcome to the Embedded Instruction for Preschoolers and Inclusive Settings session. Let's begin with introductions.
Hi, my name is Maureen Casey. This is my 10th year with the Franklin McKinley School District as a special education preschool teacher. My first 3 years were spent supporting mostly children with autism in a self-contained classroom. Since 2005, I've been working as an inclusion teacher, co-teaching in 2 neighboring Head Start classrooms. I support 8 students with IEPs and have been implementing embedded instruction since 2015 as well.
Hi, my name is Ellie Ho. I'm an inclusion training specialist from Inclusion Collaborative in Santa Clara County Office of Education. I started off my career as a preschool teacher in 1998 after I graduated from college. And for the past 20 years, I've dived into the world of early intervention in supporting young children with disabilities and their families in the community. I've been part of the Embedded Instruction Pilot Project in California since 2017 as a trainer and a coach. Inclusion is in my blood, and I'm so proud to be part of this team to support this journey in every classroom and teacher that I get to work with.
My name is Teresa Snyder, and I'm pleased to be here with Allie and Maureen. I'm with the Desired Results Access Project, and we're in a very exciting collaborative project with Embedded Instruction California, working for the California Department of Education, Special Education Division, and supporting our participating school districts. I too have a long and rich committed history to inclusion. Hard to say the year, but back in the 90s was opening up inclusive preschool with our Head Start partners. So we're really excited to be here today and to be able to talk with you about some of the exciting things that we've been able to work together and collaborate around embedded instruction. Our plan today is to really be able to explore some strategies around utilizing the Desired Results Developmental Profile, the DRDP, as an authentic assessment tool to really think about how we're supporting our children within the ongoing cycles of teaching, learning, and assessing. We're going to be sharing with you today some of the ways in which our embedded instruction experts are implementing learning targets and everyday activities and routines across the day. And we're also planning to be able to share with you some of the practices that we're utilizing in Embedded Instruction California project to be able to really think about how we're using our DRDP assessment information as we're promoting learning across the day, enhancing child outcomes, and be able to measure and track gains that we're making with our individual children. This visual helps us to think about and to frame embedded instruction within the California context. As we can see with our building block foundation, the DRDP really informs how we're thinking about and utilizing the early learning foundations and the frameworks as we're thinking about planning. What does it mean to be able to consider the kinds of strategies that could be supportive or embedded instruction practices that we'd like to be able to introduce? With the DRDP data, what we're able to find out is where is the child in terms of current levels of support that will be needed. And it helps us to be able to identify what to teach, how to teach, and to be able to inform how well we are supporting those ongoing teaching and learning cycles.
As an embedded instruction coach, I had the opportunity to work with a teacher who introduced me to the learning journey of Marco. Here are some of his skills in the beginning of school year. Marco is 4 years old in an inclusive preschool. He's able to use a few signs and single words to request. He does like to play next to his peers, yet he's still working on interacting with them. So his IEP goals are in the areas of language, communication, and social skills. On a side note, there were a number of challenges during COVID that Marco had experienced in the classroom, especially when his teachers and peers all wore masks and it was difficult for him to understand what's going on. So when we think about working on his communication and social skills, we had to get a little more creative and flexible in our work with him. So let's look at our decision-making process by looking into Marco's skills from the lens of DRDP.
Thanks, Allie, for setting the stage for us as we're considering the learning needs of Marco. Through the lens of the detailed child report, we're able to get really actionable information that will inform the instructional plans that Marco can benefit from. As we can see, this is his fall 2021 report, and we're able to look at the measure level to identify where are his strengths, where are the areas in which we may be interested in being able to provide instructional learning plans that really support the needs that he has. Given this report, if you're already utilizing these reports, that's super exciting. If you have not yet, please plan to head over to draccess.org. You can create detailed child reports for your children who are currently receiving services and use this to plan not only as we're looking at Marco's fall, for example, but we can also use the detailed child report to think about previous years, so year after year data, as well as fall to spring data, so that we can be tracking progress and see where gains have been made over time. The helpful consideration as we look at the detailed child report is that we're going to be considering the measures that are furthest to the right as the measures that really provide us with the strengths that Marco has. And we can look at measures that are to the left to inform where are some potential needs that Marco may have. As we can see with this detailed child report, Marco has some strengths, and we're considering then what does that mean around the activities and routines and transitions that we have across our day? Where would we really like to amplify our efforts and then create some instructional plans to really support him? As we can see with his language and literacy development, as well as the socio-emotional development, those are the areas that are furthest to the left. So we'll be considering how can we now consider at the measure level the kinds of supports that will be just right. As we zoom even closer into Marco's report, we're thinking about how we're going to use this information about his strengths, approaches to learning, self-regulation, and considering areas to continue to support, such as social and emotional development and language and literacy development. As we zoom in even closer into Marco's report, we're thinking about how we're going to use this information about his strengths, which are approaches to learning, self-regulation, and considering areas that will need continued support, such as socio-emotional development and language and literacy development. These can be paired intentionally as well as we're considering where do those opportunities live across the day? How are we considering our time of day, the activities that we have planned, and the role of introducing Marco to his peers in very intentional ways to enhance socio-emotional development, his interactions with his peers, as well as to be able to, as Ellie shared with us, really support him to be able to utilize his words independently when he's engaged with his peers. Now we're looking at the DRDP measure for socio-emotional development, relationships, and social interactions with peers. As we can see, Marco is at the exploring later level, and our goal is to be able to support Marco and develop out instructional plans to be able to help him to move into building earlier, which is the next developmental level. As Ellie identified previously, Marco does interact in very simple ways with his peers, and he does play side by side with them. What we'd like to do is to consider where are those opportunities across the day in routines, across our learning opportunities, free play, large group, outdoor time, that we're going to be building in the opportunities for Marco to be able to move forward the building earlier stage, which is participates in brief episodes of cooperative play with one or two of his peers, especially those with whom Marco regularly plays. So we're now going to have Maureen walk us through how we're going to design out and consider the use of priority learning targets to support his next proximal step.
Now that we have our DRDP data on where Marco is and where we would like him to work towards, let's take a look at how embedded instruction fits in. By definition, embedded instruction is a systematic approach for educators to organize instruction for children with disabilities to work on their goals while being included in everyday activities. Children receive instruction on priority skills during everyday activities, routines, or transitions to support their engagement and learning. In other words, children work on developing skills in their natural preschool surroundings with their peers. This gives us so many opportunities throughout the day to work with children on these skills they need the most. This is the embedded instruction cycle. So embedded instruction teaches us what to teach, priority learning targets, when to teach, activities, routines, and transitions, how to teach, complete learning trials, and how to evaluate, monitor implementations and child progress. After we evaluate, we can find out our next steps. Today, we are focusing on what to teach and when to teach. When determining what to teach, we go back to the DRDP to remember where the student is and where they are working towards. In Marco's case, his goal is in social and emotional development domain. Looking at Marco's annual IEP, we can see that one of Marco's annual social skill goals is to share toys and take turns with peers during the day. And also from the DRDP, we learned that Marco currently plays side by side with peers. And based on teacher data, Marco rarely interacts with peers around him. Now our goal is to develop an instructional plan for Marco to receive instruction on priority skills during everyday activities, routines, and transitions to support his engagement and learning. Because Marco is playing side by side with peers now, our next step towards reaching his annual goal is to be able to engage with peers around him. At this point, you might be wondering what that looks like. As an educator, we create priority learning targets that provide a prompt, what the desired behavior looks like, as well as how will staff react when the child is successful or not in completing the desired behavior. Very similar to antecedent, behavior, and consequence that I'm sure many of you are familiar with. For Marco, we will focus on Marco using 2 words to ask for an object. Before we watch the video, here's some background. The video was taken before classroom began using embedded instruction with Marco. The swing is a very highly preferred activity for Marco that required him to be heavily prompted by the teacher to ask for a turn. Everyone learned that the level of prompting was not adequate. Marco wasn't focused. At the end of the video, you'll hear him say happy. It was very stimulating to him, and he wanted both the bus and the swing. After watching the video, we will see why turn taking is a great skill for him to be working on.
Okay, are you ready? Okay, my turn. You want to say my turn? My turn. Good afternoon. Okay, let's sit down. You want bus or swing?
Okay. You're Rosie.
Now that we have determined what to teach, let's look at when to teach. One of the biggest changes I encountered when moving from my structured self-contained special education classroom to the inclusion classroom was learning when to teach. In my old room, we would bring the children to a table or designated area to work on specific skills that were part of their IEP goals. In an embedded instruction classroom, we work on skills with students when it is most natural throughout the day. One tool we use to find out when to teach is to create an activity matrix that can help us find multiple and meaningful embedded learning opportunities throughout the day to teach those high quality activities. So here is an example of what an activity matrix looks like. The first step to creating a matrix is to list your schedule with transitions. So you can see on the left-hand side, there is the schedule of the classroom. And then at the top, that is where you can list the priority learning targets that your student is working on. Marco's priority learning target is to use 2 words to ask for an object. I'd like you to take a moment to think about your own schedule in your classroom. When would be the most realistic times of your day to naturally work on this skill? We would love for you to put it in the chat on YouTube. On the next slide, we'll take a look at how a matrix can be used in a classroom with a video. This is an example of Marco's activity matrix. The teacher may choose to have the matrix on clipboards for easy data taking in the classroom, or even a poster on the wall so everyone can see, using initials to keep it discreet. Some even choose using a Post-it for data taking. As you can see, the teacher has determined what the most naturalistic times of the day for Marco to work on his priority target of using 2-word phrases to ask for an object is during small group, outdoor, and free play. The teacher and staff now know that while they are playing and working with Marco, they will create opportunities for him to ask for objects. The X and the number shows how many times they will try and target this skill during the activity. This may look like Marco playing at the sand table with peers, and the teacher works with him on asking for a shovel from a peer using 2 words. For example, my turn. While observing the child, teachers and staff can use tally marks, checks, or any other symbols that are meaningful to them on the matrix to show how Marco is progressing on his skills. You can make activity matrices as detailed as you find necessary. Make them your own. If a teacher is really looking at whether a child is completing the priority learning target independently without individual prompts, the teacher may want to create a key using P for prompt or I for independent while taking data, as you can see on this example. This personally helps me know if the skill has really been mastered or not, and it's really easy to do. Next, Ellie is going to show you how Marco is doing after teachers have been working with him using embedded instruction for a couple of months.
Here's Marco 2 months into his teaching staff using embedded instruction practices to build upon his turn-taking skills. So his staff took the opportunity to join in when Marco picked his preferred activity and explored the table during free choice time. His staff had focused on reducing the level of prompting to help him use 2 words to request for an item. His staff also learned that he was able to focus and respond better when she sits at eye level in front of him. So let's take a look to see what Marco is able to do now.
Good job. That was really good.
So in this video, Marco showed us that he now can say my turn without full modeling from staff. And as you can see, the staff was so excited that he could finally get more independent in using 2 words to communicate his needs. So let's take a look again to see if you can see again how the staff offered the opportunity for Marco to process his learning by giving him time and space and less help to communicate.
Good job. That was really good.
As a coach, I support my teachers in evaluating how they implement embedded instruction by asking them these 3 questions. Am I doing it? Meaning, am I giving the opportunities I have planned for my student? Is it working? Meaning, are my students making progress? Through data collection from the coach and the teaching staff, we analyze the data on embedded instruction implementation and child progress to inform our decisions, which is, do we need to make changes? Do we continue to do what we're doing or modify our work to promote student learning? So here are some working examples from our teachers sharing how they post learning targets in the free play area to remind themselves what they could say and do, how many opportunities they had planned versus implemented, and how many trials are complete. All this data, when put in graphic format, help to promote their work and understanding what changes might need to be made. And this is an ongoing process in the embedded instruction practices. Here are some feedback we got from teachers and coaches who share how connecting the DRDP, their students' IEP, and use of embedded instruction practices help to support their students grow their skills and confidence. One of our coaching strategies we often use is videotaping. It definitely makes a difference in helping teachers learn how to advance their practices, and in return, they feel they could be a better teacher for all their students.
We've organized some of our project information for you all. If you're interested, please take a look at not just our Desired Results Access project to learn more about the DRDP, but also to see some of the information that we have organized for having learning focused conversations with families, how to utilize the DRDP in ways in which to maximize the information, such as we saw with the detailed child report. Also, please head over to our Embedded Instruction for Early Learning California project. This is a website where you will see a lot of information about how we really maximize the use of the DRDP in our early childhood classrooms to think about and support with the kinds of resources, videos, and training that can really help embedded instruction to take root and to grow in your inclusive classrooms. Here are some of our practitioner resources. We've included here some of our go-to resources that we really enjoy. If you've not already been over to the Anita Zucker Center for Excellence in Early Childhood Studies, please check out their A to Z. It's chock full of information from A to Z, in which you'll be able to find lots of ways to be able to support the children that you work with and your families. We also have within the Embedded Instruction and Seeds of Partnership websites lots of activities, resources that will really be beneficial for you all as you're supporting the implementation and planning of authentic assessment and embedded instruction practices. Please keep in touch. We always want to be able to talk about embedded instruction, practice-based coaching, and ways in which we're really utilizing and informing the supports that we're providing for our children through the use of the DRDP. Thanks everybody for participating in our session. Have a great day. Using the detailed child report, then we're able to think about how are our children doing and how do we know? So by using the DRDP data to inform how we plan and deliver just right child-guided and intentional instruction for children to learn and grow in our inclusive classes. We would love to hear from you. How are you using the DRDP?